The drums of Ilu Ayan once sang every morning. The air smelled of sweet palm wine, roasted yam, and the laughter of children running free. Under the sunlight stood Oba Adebisi, a king whose wealth could blind a man's eyes. Yet, his joy was only half. For though the village knew he had a son, no one had ever seen the boy's face. They only knew his name, Adétúnjí, the heir born under a strange prophecy. Some said he lived far away for safety. Others whispered he was cursed. Only the king and the chief priest knew the truth. Adétúnjí was hidden to protect the throne. But peace is never promised forever. One dark night, a heavy wind shook the palm trees. The sky refused to rain. The rivers grew dry. Then came the fires. Farms burned like torches in the hands of angry spirits. Livestock fell. Children grew sick. A fear like cold water filled every heart. The elders said, "We have offended something greater than us." Then one morning, the wailing of mothers filled the air. 2 children had died before sunrise. The drums were silent. Oba Adebisi stood in the palace courtyard, looking at his people, broken and afraid. And in his heart, he feared the prophecy had come to claim its price. The palace was silent like a grave. Smoke from burnt farms still floated in the air. The king called Baba Ifo, the oldest and wisest chief priest in Ilu Ayan. His back was curved with age, but his eyes were sharp like a hawk's. He spread white cowries on the ground, his voice deep and slow. "Ifo, speak. Tell us the cause of our pain." The cowries rolled. The wind stopped, the silence felt heavy. Finally, Baba Ifo spoke. "The land cries for balance. The throne must pass. The king must fall for the king to rise. The unknown son must take the crown." The king froze. His heart hammered in his chest. "To save the land, he must die, and his son must marry to seal the new reign." The elders gasped. Some villagers shouted, "No, our king cannot die." Others whispered, "But we are dying already." Oba Adebisi lowered his head. He knew this day would come. A prophecy spoken at Adétúnjí's birth: the father would give his breath for the son to lead. Yet the son's bride had not been chosen. And tradition demanded a true queen, one with a heart pure enough to carry a nation. Adétúnjí could not simply pick anyone. The land itself would reject the wrong queen. The king sighed. The journey to destiny had begun. Adétúnjí returned to the palace that evening under a veil. Only Baba Ifo and his father welcomed him. He was tall, strong, and his eyes carried a quiet sadness, as if he already knew the weight waiting for him. "My son," the king said, voice heavy, "the land chooses you. But before the throne, you must find a queen with a heart of kindness. For only such a woman can hold a kingdom together." Adétúnjí bowed, but his voice was steady. "I will obey. Tell me what must be done." Baba Ifo stepped forward. "To find the true heart, you must walk among your people not as a prince, but as a madman." The king flinched. Adétúnjí's eyes widened, but not with fear, only understanding. "If they know who you are," Baba Ifo continued, "you will be respected, not loved. And a queen must be chosen by heart, not fear, not riches, not power." So Adétúnjí agreed. He would walk the village, barefoot and ragged, muttering, laughing, stumbling, while watching. Watching every woman. Watching how they treated someone who could give them nothing in return. For the purest love is love given to the one who seems to have nothing. The king ordered the town crier to announce, "A strange visitor is coming. Whoever welcomes him kindly will become the prince's wife." The village exploded with whispers. A destiny had been set. The news spread faster than fire in dry grass. Every woman in Ilu Ayan prepared. Some bathed in scented oils. Some practiced their smiles. Some cooked pots of soup heavy with meat. But their hearts were ready for a prince, not a madman. Meanwhile, Adétúnjí began his transformation. He removed his fine robes and put on torn cloth. Ash was rubbed into his hair. His feet walked barefoot on dust and gravel. Baba Ifo handed him a small rattlestick. Let no expression on your face reveal who you are. The prince nodded. Then he stepped into the village. Children pointed, look. A crazy man. Women hissed and moved aside, some laughed. Some mocked him. Adétúnjí stumbled near a group of young women who had been rehearsing sweet smiles and fine greetings. They saw him and shrieked. Dirty madman. Move away. They threw stones. He did not speak. He did not defend himself. He only watched. Later, he sat near a food seller. He was hungry, but said nothing. The woman glared. You want food? Bring money. Mad or not, I cannot feed you. He walked away. Hours passed. Not one heart opened. But the day was not over. Destiny had not yet spoken. Just before sunset, Adétúnjí sat near a well, tired and dusty. His feet hurt. His stomach ached. Yet he was patient. A king must learn to see the truth in silence. Then, he heard soft footsteps. A young woman approached, carrying a clay water pot. Her clothes were simple. Her feet covered with dust like everyone else. No jewelry. No painted hair. Her name was Mareo. She saw the madman and paused, not with fear, but concern. You look tired, she said softly. He did not answer. He only stared at the ground. She sat beside him. No one is too great or too small to taste hunger. Wait here. She filled a small cup with water and returned. She lifted it to his lips. Drink. No conditions. No questions. No fear of gossip. Just kindness. The prince drank slowly. Then she brought him food, just a handful of yam, the same portion she had for herself. Others nearby whispered, Mareo is wasting her time. Kindness will bring her nothing. But she only smiled gently. It is in giving that we stay human. Adétúnjí looked at her, eyes soft, heart moved. He had found something rare. But destiny was not finished testing them. Not yet. That night, the moon hung low like a silent witness. Adétúnjí slept near an old marketplace tree. The ground was hard, yet his heart felt softer than it had in years. Mareo's kindness stayed in his mind like a warm flame in the cold. Before dawn, women passed by carrying baskets. They pointed, laughed, and whispered, look at him. Mareo must be foolish to feed him. Kindness does not fill a house. Does she think madness is a blessing? Mareo heard them, but she did not respond. She had no riches. Her father had died years ago in a farm accident. Her mother, weak from illness, stayed in bed most days. Mareo worked from sunrise to sunset to keep their hut from falling apart. She had nothing extra to offer the world, yet her heart was full. Later that morning, she returned with fresh water and cassava scraps. When she reached the tree, Adétúnjí was already awake, staring towards the palace walls, though his expression remained empty, the mask of madness. She placed the food beside him. I cannot give much, she whispered, but I can share what I have. He looked at her and slowly touched his hand to his chest, the smallest gesture of thanks. Mareo smiled, gentle and calm. Somewhere behind the trees, Baba Ifo watched quietly. The oracle's words were beginning to unfold. But destiny is a path filled with obstacles. Not far from Mareo's home lived Olamide, a woman known for her beauty and sharp tongue. She wore coral beads, golden cloth, and perfume made from wild flowers. She had already imagined herself as the prince's bride, even though she had never seen him. When the town crier announced that a guest would choose the future queen, Olamide saw the throne already in her hands. The prince will choose beauty, she declared. And I am beauty itself. So when she saw Mareo helping the madman, jealousy sparked like dry wood. What foolishness is this? She said loudly. Mareo kept quiet. Olumide stepped closer and kicked the bowl of food from the ground. Why waste your time on trash? You should be preparing to welcome a prince, not feeding dirt. Mario didn't fight. She only knelt and picked up the scattered pieces. No one deserves to starve, she said softly. The watching crowd murmured. Some laughed. Some shook their heads. But Olumide smiled proudly, believing she had proven something great. Adétúnjí, still silent, watched everything. And in that moment, his heart knew the truth. Beauty is seen by the eyes, kindness is seen by the soul. But the test was not over. The kingdom was still dying. The suffering in Ilu Iron grew worse. The rivers dried to cracked clay. Smoke rose from empty fields. Children coughed through the night. Mothers cried into their hands. Even the animals grew thin and restless. Fear became a second skin. The elders came to the palace once more. Oba Adebisi, they pleaded, if the oracle has spoken, then we cannot delay. The land is dying. The prince must be crowned. The sacrifice must be made. The king's heart felt like a stone sinking in deep water. He was not afraid of death, but he feared leaving his people in pain. He wished he could hold the sun in place, keep time from moving. But destiny moves like the wind, unstoppable. Baba Ifa nodded, the prince's bride must be chosen soon. When the new moon rises, the crown must change heads. The king closed his eyes. Prepare the ceremony, he whispered. Meanwhile, Adétúnjí continued his silent search, still in disguise. He watched how Mario shared her small food with her mother, how she worked long hours without complaint, how she spoke gently to everyone, even those who had nothing to give her in return. Her kindness was not a performance. It was her nature. But would the kingdom accept a queen with no riches? The answer would not come easily. The day of announcement came. Drums called the village to the palace square. The king's voice was firm though sorrow hid behind it. The guest, whoever he chooses, will become the future queen of this land. Treat him as you would treat a stranger, for true hearts are revealed when no reward is seen. But the villagers did not understand. They prepared clothes, jewelry, feast, ball for the prince they imagined. No one expected a man who looked broken. So when Adétúnjí walked into the square, barefoot, dusty, hair wild, people gasped. Women who had prepared songs and gifts turned away in disgust. Except Mario. She stepped forward, lowering her gaze in respect. Welcome, she said softly, offering him a clean cloth to wipe his face. Olumide pushed past her, move aside. Let me show him real hospitality. She threw her arms wide and laughed sweetly, but her eyes were sharp with pride. Adétúnjí looked at her and saw nothing inside. He turned away. The crowd murmured. Mario's heart beat softly, not from excitement, but from care. She held her ground, not expecting anything. And then, without a single word spoken, Adétúnjí reached out and took her hand. The crowd gasped. But the storm was just beginning. Shock spread through Ilu Iron like thunder. Mario, the villagers whispered. The poor girl. The one with no land. No wealth. No fine clothes. How can she be chosen? Is this a joke? A trick? Olumide's face burned with rage. Her voice rose like a scream, this cannot be. The prince will not marry a beggar. I am the beauty of this village. I am the one meant for the throne. The chief priest stepped forward, raising his staff. Silence. The heart chooses what the eye cannot see. Ifo has spoken. But Olumide's jealousy was like poison. She spat on the ground near Mario's feet. You think kindness makes you a queen? We shall see. Mario's hands trembled, but she stood tall. Not with arrogance, but with quiet dignity. Adétúnjí remained silent, but his grip on her hand was firm. Baba Ifa turned to the king. The new moon rises in 3 days. The wedding and the crowning must happen then. The land depends on it. Oba Adébísí nodded, though his eyes glistened. His time was nearly over. That night, the sky was heavy with clouds. And somewhere in the shadows, Olumide began planning. Not everyone accepts destiny peacefully. The battle for the throne had just begun. The village did not sleep that night. Whispers floated through every hut like restless birds. Some said, Mario is blessed. Others said, she tricked the madman. And some, more cruel, said, the gods must be joking. But in Mario's small hut, there was only silence. Her mother lay on her mat, eyes weak but full of worry. My daughter, she whispered, the path you walk now is heavy. A queen carries her people, even when her heart is breaking. Mario knelt beside her. I did not seek the throne, she said softly, I only shared food with someone hungry. Her mother smiled faintly, that is why you were chosen. Outside, Adétúnjí watched from the shadows. He was no longer observing as a madman, but as a man falling quietly in love. Mario's kindness had touched places inside him he didn't know were empty. But he still could not reveal his identity. Not yet. The ceremony day would reveal all. Meanwhile, Olumide sat with her friends, anger burning like hot oil. He will regret choosing her, she said, she will not reach that wedding day. Her friends hesitated. Olumide, be careful. To fight destiny is dangerous. Olumide's eyes hardened, then let destiny bleed. And with those words, a darker story began to unfold. The next morning, drums called the villagers again. This time for preparation, not celebration. The palace yard buzzed with activity. Mats were woven, beads were polished, sacrifices were prepared. The entire kingdom was preparing for the crowning of a new king. But the atmosphere carried tension. Adétúnjí continued his disguise, but the king and Baba Ifo began preparing him secretly for the throne. In a quiet chamber, Baba Ifo placed a hand on his shoulder. Your father's life fades like evening light. When the new moon rises, he must cross to the ancestors. Adétúnjí blinked slowly. He was ready to rule, but he was not ready to lose his father. At the same time, Mario was taken to the palace for purification. She bathed in water mixed with herbs and flower petals. Women surrounded her, tying beads in her hair, painting her hands with red dye. Some smiled kindly. Others walked with cold faces, their jealousy loud even in silence. Walk with grace, one whispered, you will need courage. Mario nodded, though her heart beat fast. She felt like she was stepping into a river whose depth she could not see. Outside, Olumide watched everything from afar. Her jealousy was no longer just anger. It was a plan. A dangerous one. Olumide went to visit someone the villagers rarely spoke of, Ajok the Abo woman, who lived beyond the river bend, deep in the forest. Some called her healer. Some called her witch. No one really knew which one was true. The forest was quiet except for the rustling leaves. Olumide approached the small hut made of clay and woven sticks. Ajok stepped out before Olumide could speak, as if she had already been expecting her. You seek power, Ajok said, and power always costs something. Olumide swallowed. I want the prince to reject Mario. I want the throne. I want what should be mine. Ajok laughed softly, should be yours. Destiny does not bend for pride. Olumide's eyes filled with rage, then make it bend. Ajok studied her for a long moment. I can give you something. But understand this, when you poison love, the poison comes back to the one who pours it. Olumide hesitated, but only for a breath. I accept. Ajok gave her a small clay god tied with palm leaves. Rub this on your face and speak with the prince before the wedding. His heart will see only you. Olumide smiled in triumph. But Ajok's final words followed her like a shadow. Remember, the gods do not forget deaths. The village prepared for the second day of ceremonies, the Feast of Union, where the chosen bride and groom shared a meal before the whole kingdom. Mario stood beside Adétúnjí, still thinking he was only a mysterious guest, not knowing he was the prince. The villagers gathered, some with curiosity, others with hatred, others with silent support. Food was placed before them: roasted yam, palm oil, kola nuts, and sweet honey drink. Mario took a piece of yam and offered it to him first. As tradition demanded, Adétúnjí accepted gently, his fingers brushing hers. Something warm passed between them, a promise not spoken. Then, Olumide appeared. Her face glowed unnaturally, smooth, shining, beautiful beyond reason. She moved with confidence, her perfume trailing behind her like a spell. The villagers gasped, "Oh! See beauty! This is what a queen should look like." Olumide stepped forward, kneeling with dramatic grace. "My guest," she said sweetly, "come sit with me. I have prepared a richer feast." She smiled, sure she had already won. Adétúnjí looked at her. But instead of seeing beauty, he saw emptiness, hunger, and greed, sharper now than ever. The spell had failed. Olumide froze. Ajoke's warning echoed in the air. The gods do not forget deaths. The feast ended with whispers louder than drums. Olumide stormed away, her pride shattered. But humiliation only fed her anger. Meanwhile, Adétúnjí followed Mario to her home. Her mother sat up weakly, surprised by the visitor. Mario introduced him simply, "This is the traveler I told you about." Her mother smiled kindly, "You are welcome here. Any man who walks this earth deserves rest." Adétúnjí sat beside them, his heart full. Their home was small, the roof patched, the floor uneven, but the peace inside felt like a warm fire on a cold night. Mario's mother suddenly coughed, holding her chest. Mario hurried to help her. Adétúnjí watched pain cross Mario's face, a deep love and worry. Without thinking, he reached for her hand. She looked up, eyes shining. In that moment, he knew something clearly. This was not just the woman destiny chose, this was the woman his heart had chosen. But outside, the winds of danger were rising. Olumide was not finished. Baba Ifo sensed darkness approaching, and the king's life was fading faster each day. The moon crept closer to fullness. The day of the sacrifice was near. The sun rose slowly, heavy with heat and tension. The palace courtyard was prepared for the unity blessing, the third step before the wedding and the crowning. Drummers beat softly, not with celebration, but with waiting. Oba Adebisi sat on his throne, his breathing thin. His skin had grown pale, as if the sickness of the land was inside him too. He looked at Adétúnjí and Mario standing together, still believing she was marrying just a guest. Baba Ifo stepped forward. Today, the spirits will test the union. The bride and groom must walk from the palace to the sacred river and return without speaking a word. Silence reveals truth. The journey began. As they walked, villagers followed at a distance, watching closely. Some whispered prayers. Others watched with jealousy. Olumide watched with a heart burning hotter than midday sun. On the path, thorns covered the ground. Mario stepped carefully, but her feet bled. Adétúnjí wanted to help her, but he stayed silent. Mario saw his worry, and smiled softly. Pain could not shake her kindness. When they reached the river, Mario washed her feet and collected water for the journey back. She never complained. She never asked for pity. Adétúnjí knew the truth more clearly now. A queen is not made of jewels. A queen is made of strength. But in the shadows, Olumide had followed. And her final plan was ready. Night fell like a dark cloth. Crickets sang, but the air felt heavy, like the world was holding its breath. Olumide approached Mario's home quietly. In her hand, she carried a small pouch filled with black ash from Ajoke's hut. It was no ordinary ash, it carried sickness, fear, and confusion. If placed in food or fire, it could weaken the heart and cloud the mind. Olumide stood outside Mario's doorway, listening to their voices inside. Mario's mother coughed weakly. Mario hummed softly as she prepared a small meal. And Adétúnjí sat peacefully nearby, still in disguise, watching them with warm eyes. Jealousy twisted Olumide's heart. They took what should have been mine, she whispered. She stepped toward the fire where Mario cooked. But just as she lifted the pouch, a voice spoke behind her. Stop. Olumide froze. Baba Ifo stood in the shadows, his staff glowing faintly under moonlight. Do not step further, he warned. Olumide's voice shook. She took everything. No, Baba Ifo replied, she received what your heart refused to give, compassion. Olumide's eyes filled with tears of rage. I will not leave watching her rise while I remain nothing. Baba Ifo looked at her sadly, then destiny will take its price. Olumide ran into the night, leaving the pouch behind. But the darkness in her heart only grew stronger. The final day arrived, the day of the new moon. The sky was grey. The air was heavy. The village gathered in silence. Drums sounded slow and deep, the drums of transition. Oba Adebisi appeared before his people. Though weak, he stood with dignity. Mario and Adétúnjí were brought to his side. But now, the truth had to be revealed. Baba Ifo raised his staff. People of Ilu Iron, the guest you welcomed is not a traveler. He is your prince. The son hidden since birth. The one chosen by prophecy. Adétúnjí, heir to the throne. Gasps filled the air. Some knelt. Some stared in shock. Others cried. Mario stepped back, eyes wide. You are the prince, she whispered. Adétúnjí nodded, slowly removing the disguise. His face, noble, calm, strong, shone like morning sun. Forgive me, he said gently, but I needed to see the heart that loves without reward. Mario's eyes filled with tears. The truth did not change her heart, it only made her love deeper. But the moment of peace did not last. A sudden scream caught the air. Olumide pushed through the crowd, hair wired, face twisted with pain. You cannot take him, she cried. I will not let it be. And in her hands, she held a knife. The ceremony turned to chaos. The crowd scattered in fear. Children cried. Women covered their faces. Men reached to hold Olumide back, but pain and jealousy had given her dangerous strength. She pointed the knife toward Mario. You stole him. You stole the throne. You stole the life I was meant to have. Mario stepped back, trembling, not from fear, but from heartbreak. I never wanted your pain, Mario whispered. Her voice stopped Olumide for one small moment. But jealousy does not listen to kindness. Olumide lunged. Before the knife could reach Mario, Adétúnjí stepped in front of her, shielding her with his body. The blade cut his arm, blood staining the ground. Gasps broke through the crowd. Olumide stood frozen, hands shaking, realizing what she had done. Oba Adebisi rose, voice full of sorrow. Olumide, your heart has eaten itself. The guards moved to seize her, but she dropped the knife and fell to her knees, crying like a child who had lost her way. Baba Ifo lifted his staff. The punishment for harming the crown is death. But Adétúnjí raised his own hand, bleeding, but steady. No. She will not die. Let her live and learn. A kingdom ruled by fear cannot heal. The villagers watched, stunned. Mercy, not power. Strength, not pride. But the final sacrifice still remained. The king's time was ending. The new moon rose that night, pale and silent. Oba Adebisi lay in his royal chamber. Oil lamps flickered softly. The air smelled of herbs and incense. Baba Ifo stood beside him. Mario and Adétúnjí knelt at his side. The king reached for his son's hand. My child, he whispered, voice thin as air, the land will know peace again, because your heart is strong. I am proud. Tears rolled down Adétúnjí's face, the first he had allowed in years. I am here, father, he whispered. You may rest. I will carry this land. Mario held the king's other hand gently, her kindness now a bridge between the living and the ancestors. The king looked at her with soft eyes. You will be the mother of this kingdom. Guard it with love. Mario bowed deeply, tears falling. Baba Ifo began to chant ancient words, heavy with power. The king exhaled slowly, his final breath leaving like a calm wind. The lamps flickered. Silence filled the palace. Adétúnjí closed his father's eyes with trembling hands. Outside, the drums began, slow, deep, mourning beats. The throne was now empty. But soon it would be filled again. The crowning was coming. And the destiny of Ilu Ayan was about to be sealed. The sun rose slowly, red as palm oil, coloring the sky like a warning and a blessing. The entire village dressed in white cloth. Drums echoed across the land, steady and deep. Today was the crowning. Adétúnjí walked toward the sacred shrine of Ogun, escorted by palace guards and elders. Though he had shed the disguise of madness, his heart felt heavier than any crown. His father was gone. The kingdom was wounded. The future rested in his hands. Mario followed behind him, veiled in white. Her steps were calm, but her heart beat like a drum. She still wondered, can I truly be queen? She had only ever known work, struggle, and quiet kindness. Baba Ifo began the ritual. The one who carries the crown must carry both joy and sorrow. The one who leads must see all men as brothers. Adétúnjí knelt. The elders placed the crown upon his head, beads shining, feathers rising like a warrior spirit. Kobiyisi, the people cried, Kobiyisi Oba Adétúnjí. But the celebration stopped when Baba Ifo raised his hand. The king must name the woman who will sit beside him. The queen who will heal the land. He turned toward Mario. Her breath caught. Every eye watched. Every heart waited. The courtyard fell silent, even the drums paused. Mario stood trembling beneath her veil. Dust swirled in the wind like spirits circling the moment. Adétúnjí turned to face the people. From this day, he said softly, you are not only my queen, you are my home. Mario's tears sparkled in the sunlight. And you, she whispered, are the song my heart has waited for. The people danced. The kingdom sang. Rain blessed the earth. The spirit smiled. And so, the village that once suffered found peace. A king with a strong heart, a queen with a kind soul, a land healed by love.